Welcome, everybody, to Built on Faith Homestead. Today, we're going to do a more canning-specific video, just to show you guys one of the ways we use up our cucumbers. My wife already made a batch of dill pickles this year, and we're getting ready to make another batch of pickles today. And she had to go to the store this morning just to do our regular weekly grocery shopping. And me and Leah have been going around. We got all the animals took care of and trying to do a few things outside. And we come back in and went ahead and sliced up the cucumbers and onions that we're going to use in our bread and butter, what we're calling bread and butter pickle recipe. Now, the wife is trying a new recipe, and we'll let her tell you all the ins and outs about that when she gets home. And I got strict instructions just to salt the cucumbers and the onions and to let them be soaking in the salt while we wait on Mama to get back for her to do the rest, because canning is kind of her baby. I just help along where I can. So let me show you guys kind of what we've done so far. All we've done so far was cut up the cucumbers and the onions. Now, one thing I want to say about canning is if you get to researching it and all that, there's going to be all kinds of warnings out there if you start trying to do your own canning about, you got to do it, you got to do just this way or just that way, and everything's got to be this and everything's got to be that. And there's a little bit of truth to those things. The biggest thing I would say is just use a little bit of common sense. Remember that these are going in a jar. They're going to go in a cool, dark pantry, and we are going to have these, hopefully be good for, at least this time next year, because that's really how a garden starts helping your food, is whenever you can can it and you can eat it all winter long in the first part of garden season the next year, so that you've got vegetables and fruits that you're eating from the year gone past. And so remembering that, right? So like these cucumbers, we washed them really, 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 really good before we sliced them. And then we sliced them, and now they're sitting in salt. And that salt is to keep them crispy and to help keep them crunchy. But we'll wash again. We'll wash that salt off here in a little bit after they sit a while in the salt. And we'll wash these cucumbers and onions again really, really good. If you've got a bad spot on a cucumber, don't use that cucumber. Maybe cut the bad spot out and eat it fresh. Or if you got a cucumber that's a little discolored, don't use that one. Use it for something else if it's still usable. If it's not usable, if you have chickens, feed it back to your chickens. They will love it. This is also one of the things we do, is you see a little hand sneaking in. One of the things we do to get the kids involved. So she sat on the counter and ate a few cucumber chips while we were continuing to slice cucumbers. But all we've done so far on this new bread and butter pickle recipe we're using this year is we washed them up really, really good, cut them pretty thin, got them soaking in salt with onions right now, just to help that crunch factor as we go on. And we'll show you guys the next steps after Mama gets home. I will let Melissa tell you more about the ins and outs of this new recipe we're using, but I do know one of the differences is it uses brown sugar instead of white sugar in the recipe, and that was something she was excited about because we really like the flavor of brown sugar with that molasses. We like it a lot, and so she's excited about trying that. There wasn't anything wrong with our old recipe. We really liked our old recipe. We ate a ton of those pickles, and we give them away, and we took them to church events and those kinds of things. And they were an excellent pickle. However, it's fun to try something new, and so we're trying something. This recipe's not all that different. In fact, Leah, no. Leah's trying to eat the salted cucumbers over here. In fact, the only difference in these pickles, the biggest difference I remember is the brown sugar instead of the white sugar. And you can add to these pickles, right? So we got cucumbers and we got onions in there right now. Excuse me. I like to, as we get hot peppers this year, I like to, on a few jars, a handful of them, I like to add some hot peppers. Why? Because I love a spicy pickle, especially on like a cheeseburger or something like that. You can't hardly beat having a spicy pickle around. And so, don't think that you have to stick to this recipe. Find your own recipes, right? Play with it a little bit, but do pay attention to your salts and your vinegars and your sugars when you're canning, because that's all going to help to preserve your vegetables. And so pay attention to that kind of stuff. However, it's not, I know you have to be careful, and you have to sanitize, and you have to get things clean and all of that stuff to be safe. And I understand that. But don't let it scare you out of trying it, guys. Don't let it scare you out of thinking that, like, you could never do this, and if you try it, you're going to die. Don't people's been doing this for forever, for a long time. And especially once you start adding the vinegars and those kinds of things, it goes a long way to helping you out. So we'll bring you along the rest of the day, guys. What are you doing here, Mama?
I am making the brine for our sweet pickles.
For our sweet pickles. Are they bread and butter too? Because I called them bread and butter earlier.
I don't know. I'll have to look at the recipe.
Okay.
She may call them sweet bread and butter. I don't know.
Sweet bread and butter. So this is the new recipe with the brown sugar.
Yes.
Yeah. Why are you trying a new recipe?
I wasn't real. Like the last ones we made were good, but they weren't what I would like them to be.
Gotcha.
And I know I've tasted some pickles, sweet pickles with brown sugar in them, and I really like the flavor and stuff of them. So I thought I'd find one kind of similar to that color and stuff. So
Give it the good old try.
yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to tell them? So you've got the recipe off of YouTube. Right off a YouTube person. You want to tell them about how, like, so like our recipe is not going to be exactly the same because we got a little bit more by weight than what she had. You want to talk about some of that, some?
Yeah. Yeah, you never have the right amount when you pick. She had, from the lady I was going off of, she had 3 pounds. And we have, like, not quite 4. So I'm just upping the ingredients just a little bit.
So you're giving it like a for good measure, extra measure. Yeah. So don't get too particular on having to have exactly what the recipe calls for, because you almost never have, like, even like your Canon books recipes where it's like, you know, whatever, like you almost never have that.
No.
All right, so learn to adjust your recipes. Now there's right ways to adjust it. Like if we had 2.5 times more, then we could go ahead and make those adjustments exactly.
Right, yeah.
But when we're, I mean, just short of a pound off, we're just kind of winging it. Yeah. No. All right. So while she's making the brine, she's getting started. Look at that. It's already got my heart won because it's just a lump of brown sugar. We have got jars that are still working on getting warmed up to temperature to sanitize. And we have went ahead and rinsed our cucumbers to get most of the salt off of them. So, just a little bit of celery seed. Those of you that know me know I can't stand celery. Nasty, disgusting stuff. I've ate a lot of stuff with celery seed in it. If it gets very strong, I'm out. And so, she only put like maybe 1/4 of the amount of celery seed it was asking for because I can't stand the nasty stuff.
This is a water bather. You say water bath?
Water bath.
Pickles we water bath them, okay? And right now we set the timer for 10 minutes and we're cleaning the jars. Make sure they're nice and clean so it doesn't hurt us or anything when we eat them. Then we have our brine already made. It's got vinegar, apple cider vinegar, white vinegar, brown sugar, mustard seed, those are little dots, cloves, see, these black things, peppercorns, and a little bit of celery seed. I had to bring that to a simmer. Okay, so it's still hot. We need everything hot whenever we put the stuff in the jars. So here in a minute, when that's done, we're going to put the cucumbers in the jars. And then we're going to take all this stuff, and what are we going to do with it? You know? We're going to fill the jars up with the pickles. And then put them back in here and can them.
Mama, can you tell us why you're jamming a back end of a butter knife down there?
Well, if you do that, it gets all the bubbles and stuff and makes more room for more cucumbers to go down in there. So you don't have any wasted space or anything like that.
Because these are... No. Okay. So you're doing that, poking that down in there so we can get as many pickles in there as possible, right?
Yep.
Because they're going to shrink up whenever they cook.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we would need to leave probably 1 inch head space on these.
That's really good.
Yeah. I don't remember if it's 1 inch or...
I think it's 1 inch.
Is it? And so now she's just ladling in the pickle brine juice that we made. Luella is filming. Bobo's napping, and Leah is supposed to be napping, but instead she's playing. But it's okay. Probably so. Now we'll get the ring. There's the lid. Okay, watch what you're doing. Don't talk. Just watch what you're doing. Get it more in the middle. Get where Mom's working more in the middle. There you go. Now hold it up some. There you go. That's a little better.
Okay, ready?
Watch her hands as she goes to the canner. There we go. And basically you just repeat this process till all your jars are full. I do want to show you guys as she's putting the canner or the jars back in the canner. We're doing this to keep them hot because we have broke jars before by letting them get too cool. It does happen. But one thing I want to say is when we sanitize our jars, always do more than you think you're going to need. Because if you have more cucumbers left or whatever, you can always fill another jar. It takes longer to try to re-sanitize a jar and all that good stuff. You'll put yourself in a pickle, pardon the pun, but you'll put yourself in a pickle. So always, you know, if you think you're only going to do 6 jars worth of pickles, maybe sanitize 7 or 8 jars. It ain't going to hurt nothing. It's not going to take any longer. When you're sanitizing them, you got to boil them all for 10 minutes anyway, no matter how many jars are in there. So it's best to go ahead and do some extra as you're doing it. And then of course don't forget your hot lids and rings, not boiling but hot. They make a magnet that you can grab them with. It's very handy. But if you've been doing this very long, watch this. Tougher than woodpecker lips wife just reaches in there like a gangster of jar making or pickle making. She's a gangster version of pickle maker. And you just get those finger tight. You want to get them tight enough they're not going to leak, but they don't have to be super tight. And you put them back in the canner and go on to the next one. Alright, so our canner's full. We're going to pop the lid back on it. And at our elevation, we got to boil them for 10 minutes or water bath them for 10 minutes. That is one thing you guys need to do if you're going to do this. If you live in Missouri, basically anywhere close to southern Missouri where we live, that's going to be your time on water bath cannons, 10 minutes. It's all based off of elevation. So we'll put the lid back on. The wife is setting the timer now. They are still just barely boiling. We put the lid on, they'll boil hard. Here we go. What do you think? You excited?
I am.
You're a little
really good.
You're a little sunburnt still.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not mad. That's sunburn.
Yeah.
That's sunburn going there. So, how many pints did we get off of those?
I think 6.
6 pints off of about 4 pounds of cucumbers. Yep. So, exciting times.
Yes.
Exciting times. What do you think, camera girl? Alright, so our 10 minutes is up. Time to get them out of here. As you can tell, we got a little bit of the juice. Once again, just like the jelly, do not use tea towels you don't want stained up. These tea towels are stained up. They're clean, but they are stained up from previous canning adventures and jelly making adventures. Some of you that are really picky about having perfectly white tea towels, canning may not be for you. Oh, I heard one seal. Go ahead and turn that off. Alright guys, here it is. Our first batch of bread and butter pickles in 2022. And we will let them seal. I'm going to try again to capture this, but we're going to let them seal. We'll listen to that wonderful pop and that wonderful ting noise, which is a canner's dream to hear that noise. What do you think of what the finished product looks like so far, right out the canner?
Beautiful.
They are pretty, aren't they? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, there one sealed. And it looks like it was the one I was going to try to film. Oh, there goes another one. Alright guys, one of these days I'm going to film the seal. Like, I'm going to get it. But not today, because a couple of them's already sealed and I don't know which one's to wait over here. Now that these are sealing, we really need to let them sit. We'll probably let them sit here 12 to 24 hours before we move the jars. Isn't that right, Mom?
Yes. Yes,
we're not going to mess with them. We're just going to leave them alone for 12 to 24 hours. So Melissa has a bit of an issue. She likes to mess with them. Alright guys. That is not an end all to canning. There's all kinds of different things you can do. But water bath canning and your pickles are all going to be very, very similar as far as doing the pickles and those kinds of things. Water bath canning is a great way. If you're scared to death of canning, getting to do some water bath canning, making some pickles, some salsa, that kind of stuff. I think salsa you water bath can.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. Anyway, things that you do water bath can, pickles, relish, those kinds of things, is a great way to get started canning. Isn't it, sweetie?
Yep.
Helps you with some of those fears, some of those worries. When you step up to pressure canning like we'll do later this year, that makes perfect sense. Like we'll do later this year when we pressure can our green beans, that can be a little bit more scary, more intimidating. But we'll do some videos on that as well, so you don't have to be scared of it. You can do it. It is doable. You got to use some common sense and pay attention, but it is doable. Guys, we thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Comment down below. It does a lot to helping our videos out as far as bringing them up through YouTube and making them more popular. So please don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment if it's something you want to comment about. I'm not going to comment to make our videos more popular. No, but if you want to comment down below. Let us know what you think. Tell us about your pickle making experiences. How much you like them, how much you hate them, all these good things. And we will catch you guys next time.